Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co., and this is another 2021 list. In case you're sick of all those 2022 lists, in case you're seeing them all over your feed, in case you've watched all of those, all of mine, we did just do our top 100 of all time, but we now have a 2021 list instead. Now that a year has settled, I have 5 of these. I don't know the order they're going up in, but I have the best 5 games, the best 15 games of 2021. I have 15, 21 and 2021 titles that have faded a bit for me. I have 15 2021 titles that were a bit of a miss for me, 15 2021 titles I still haven't gotten played that I really want to, and then this list over here, 15 2021 hidden gems. That's what this list is. This is 15 2021 hidden gems. Hidden is a relative term. I'm going to go with games that I feel are either a combination of underranked and or just not well known. I'm going to be going through these 15. I will, of course, have timestamps down below, and I'll be ordering these in order of what has the most rankings to the fewest rankings, so that we can really lean into that whole hidden gems kind of concept, because the last one of these has only 70 rankings on BGG, and it's one that many of you shouldn't be missing out on. But with that said, let's go ahead and start this list off, and we're going to start it off with Rolling Realms. Rolling Realms with 2,400 rankings on Board Game Geek is a game from Stonemaier Games that this one definitely doesn't fall quite as much into the hidden part. It does, to me, fall into a bit into the underranked part. The next one on this list has half as many rankings, and from there it just slowly creeps downwards. But Rolling Realms with 2,400 ratings is just a decently well-known game, but I think it's one of Stonemaier Games' more compelling, appealing games. It's a simple combination of it's a roll and write. It's a roll and write in which he combines the various realms of Stonemaier Games as well as promo packs from other games, so you can kind of have an abstracted bit of your Stonemaier Games and or your whatever other titles they have. They have a whole bunch. They have Terra Mystica and like 17 others I don't remember offhand. But they're all giving you a taste of these other games into your world, into these little packs where you combine 3 cards, and then either competitively or solo, it has an excellent solo mode that I do recommend. You're going to be trying to optimize around these 3 cards, around how you earn resources and spend resources to do various things, and how your dice are going to be activated to go into these universes and score you points. It is a solidly enjoyable puzzle in which I don't think it's the best roll out there ever, but I think the solo mode has a lot to say for it. If you're looking for a nice solo mode campaign, if you're talking competitively, I think it's charming, I think it's fun. So the solo mode, to me, is where Rolling Realms sticks out a bit more, giving you just an 18-hole puzzle that you can play at different difficulty levels, and hopefully they'll be introducing more of these to incorporate the various expansion packs that they have since added to the game. That's going to be Rolling Realms. At 14, we have Dice Miner. Dice Miner with 1,200 rankings. Again, not quite that poorly known, but again, I think one that is better than, well, it's a good game. It's a fun game. It's an excellent gateway game with a lot of charm to it. It's also available on Tabletopia if you want to try it out online to see if it's a game for you. But Dice Miner is a game of trying to draft dice from a mountain. You're going to have a mountain in the game that's going to be, depending on the deluxe edition or the standard edition, you'll have a mountain in the game with different, well, either cardboard or plastic, and you're going to be pouring dice into the mountain and then drafting dice from the mountain, and you're using those dice across 3 iterative and growing rounds to score as many points as possible. I think the game is best at 2 players, good at 3, and I'm not quite as much a fan of 4 because of the fact that the amount of dice you get doesn't scale with the player count, which means in a 4-player game, you're getting half the dice you would get in a 2-player game, and that just means half the fun, half the room for optimization. So to me, 2-player is my favorite way to play it. 3-player is still good, and 4, not quite so much, but you're drafting dice, and your dice pool grows round after round. The dice you gather in round 1 are still there in round 2 and 3, and so you're getting stronger and stronger, scoring more and more points, which also means that you can recover from a bad round 1 pretty easily, because you're getting iteratively more points each round because of the accumulating nature of your dice. It's a simple scoring mechanism, it's easy to teach, it's easy to play, it's just fun and compelling. My number 14 is Dice Miner. Now at 13 we have a print and play that you could probably get your hands on pretty cheaply and affordably. I believe they have a website, I believe you can pick it up. It's going to be Voyages. Voyages is one that's giving you a print and play series of multiple adventures. It's the first print and play roll and write that I've purchased, and I've since gotten their other designs. They had another design as well, and I'm always compelled and interested in print and plays, but don't always get my hands on them because I don't often do the printing part. I need to figure out a better way to store, to accumulate, to gather these print and play games, but I think they are a lot of fun and have a lot of potential as far as what the games are doing for you and as far as how you can utilize them and play them. And again, very, very affordable print and plays. But Voyages is a series of multiple maps from Matthew Dunstan and somebody else. I apologize for not remembering your name offhand, but it's a series of multiple maps in which you're going to be rolling dice that are going to determine what kind of actions you're adding on your main board, how far you're moving, and which direction you're moving. The way you combine those 3 dice on these iterative maps is going to give you the unique nature of your puzzle. Everyone has the same 3 dice, but it's how you use them and what you choose to go, where you choose to go, and how you choose to build out your tableau that's going to determine how well you're doing comparatively to the other players. It's a great game. I highly recommend it. If you're looking to get into print and play roll and writes, this is a good place to start. It's affordable, it's well done, it's from well-known designers. I highly recommend Voyages. At number 13, 14, 15, 12. At number 12, we have Great Plains. Great Plains with 909, and Voyages, by the way, has 1,100 rankings. Great Plains has 909 rankings on Board Game Geek, or ratings. I don't know if I'm saying rankings. Ratings on Board Game Geek. But Great Plains is a 2-player area control game. It's an area control game as you're going to be taking your various factions. It's going to be the blue and the orange faction, and it's in a white box. You can see why I like it already. But it's one that you're going through tight, cutthroat area control as you try to figure out how you can place and move and take advantage of the various abilities that you're going to have. You're going to have different ability tokens that will let you push or jump or move further. That will give you these different options and how you trade in and cash in on your abilities and what action you choose to take every round and how you choose to set up your game. It's area control and it's abstract strategy in a game that plays in around 20 to 25 minutes and gives you a cutthroat 2-player head-to-head game in that timeline. And in a small box to boot. I think Great Plains is an excellent game and one that's very worthwhile, very worth looking into if any of the words I just said, 2-player, area control, abstract, cutthroat, if any of those words appeal to you, I think Great Plains is one that's worth checking out. At number 11, we have with 700 ratings, I got it right the first time. At number 11 with 700 ratings, we have Gorinto from Grand Gamers Guild. Gorinto is an abstract strategy game, another abstract strategy game that this one is a tough one for me because this is the first one on the list that I don't actually own, and there will be a few on the list that I don't own that I'm recommending as hidden gems, but Gorinto is excellent, with caveats, which I'll get to shortly. Gorinto gives you a tactical abstract strategy game for 2 to 4 players in which you're taking these various element tiles and moving them onto the map in different patterns and scoring, pulling off tiles to build out your tableau, combined with variable scoring cards that will give you different puzzles of how you score every single game. It's just very well done, very compelling, very replayable, a lot of good things going on for it, and it's not one that's talked about a lot. With 700 ratings, it's not talked about all that much. For me, the tricky part about Gorinto is that I think the 2-player mode is very good, but I do have more abstracts in my collection that I think are more to my taste. And I think Gorinto shines at the 4-player team play. I think the 4-player team play is amazing in Gorinto. And for me, the caveat there is just that I find 4-player abstract games I don't really play quite as much. They don't hit the table. But that's a weird binary where I think the best way to play Gorinto is at a 4-player count where I'm going to be competing with a whole bunch of other games that I really love playing at 4 players. But I think Gorinto is one worth looking at if you are someone who prefers, if you're someone who likes or enjoys abstract strategy games. Gorinto is one that was never on my radar until I happened to sit down at a convention and play it, and I really enjoyed it, picked it up, had it for a bit before moving on from it, but Gorinto from Grand Gamers Guild. At number 10, I want to say, I'm pretty sure we're up to 10 right now. At 10 with 573 ratings, we're now slowly moving down into the 500 zone, we have the Whatnot Cabinet. The Whatnot Cabinet from Pencil First Games, one of my favorite games from their collection. Pencil First Games makes a lot of great games that all involve a degree of optimizing small scoring things as you gather different things in different ways, whether they're flowers, whether it's a pathway. There's different ways you take things in these various games from Pencil First Games. In the Whatnot Cabinet in particular, you're going to be choosing items from a row using a small degree of ability management and all that. You're choosing items, choosing an ability of how to pick the items, and then putting those items into your cabinet with the goal of scoring either the same or totally different rows and columns of colors and items. You're trying to figure out how to optimize your entire cabinet, that's your Whatnot cabinet, as you put these various whatnots into your cabinet. The game plays in like 20 minutes, plays well at 2, 3, and 4 players, gives you a fun little puzzle. To me, it's one of the cleaner games from Pencil First Game. It's one of the art and presentation I think are well done, has small little modules you can mix up. They don't drastically mix up the game state, but they do give you enough of another reason to look into or to adjust how you play the game. I think the Whatnot Cabinet is an excellent one that's worth taking a look at. With 527 ratings, our number 9 is going to be Suspects, I believe from Hachette Games, if I'm not mistaken. Suspects is one of the games that falls into those mystery kind of deduction adventure games. I don't know, I said adventure. Mystery games. Mystery and deduction, and trying to figure out what happened in this whodunit package of 3 different crimes. In Suspects, you're trying to figure out who the suspect is. You're going to have 3 different adventures, 3 different things that happen in the game that you're trying to figure out. You're going to have a murder. Well, I think they're all murders if I recall correctly. 2 of them are for sure murders. I'm trying to remember if the third one was. But you're going to have these different mysteries you're trying to solve. You're trying to figure out who did it, why they did it, and how. You're going to go through a process of looking at all these different cards and answering a bunch of different questions. And I've played a bunch of games in this genre, and they have all worked for me. This is different, by the way, than an escape room game. There's escape room games like Exit and Unlock and those kind of games. But then there's these mystery games like Crime Zoom or Suspects or what's that one from... Oh my gosh, there's a whole bunch more, I can't remember them offhand. Morta Medieval Detective. There's a bunch of games in this genre of trying to figure out who did something by just going through a bunch of cards. Or even the Chronicles of Crime, for that matter, has that kind of same genre to it. And I find, to me, Suspects, I think, is the best one for me personally in that genre. Trying to figure out the mystery of the motive, of what, of how, of why, of all that kind of things. I think I've said what and how and why 4 times at this point through the video. But Suspects, I think, was clean in what it did. It didn't give me a sense of a forced timer in the same level or scale some of the other games have, and to me I felt the most cohesive sense of an actual mystery as opposed to grind, if that makes sense. I felt sometimes these games I feel it's almost more luck or more grind based, and Suspects I think for me had the best balance of giving me a mystery that was rewarding to solve as I went through it. Highly recommend that from Machete Games. At number 8 we have Quest from Indie Board and Cards. Quest is a game that re-implements the Resistance Avalon, the Resistance series of games, and it re-implements the Resistance Avalon specifically. In fact, if you got the big box of Quest, you actually have all the components for Resistance Avalon inside, so you can play either game. But Quest takes that hidden role game, that hidden role, who's the bad, what they're trying to do, and all that, and it took that game and it just made it more accessible by, first of all, reducing the player count, so now it's 4 players as the minimum instead of 5, also adding a bunch more things to it to make it more variable. It basically took the Resistance Avalon and just made it a better game. And with only 424 ratings, I don't think it has the popularity that it deserves. This to me very much is a hidden gem. I think to me it replaces the Resistance Avalon. I see no real reason to play Resistance Avalon over Quest. I think Quest kind of has the same building blocks of it and just does more. And to me personally, with better art, although obviously art is subjective and a matter of taste, Quest with 424 ratings is my number. I think we're up to 8. At number 7, we have another Quest. This time we have Kids Chronicles Quest for the Moonstones from Lucky Duck Games. With only 296 ratings, we're down to the sub 300 count as far as the rest of the list. And Kids Chronicles Quest for the Moonstones is speaking of Chronicles of Crime, which I mentioned a minute ago, this gives you that Chronicles of Crime style of gameplay, but in a kid-friendly package. This is giving you that same mystery adventure, that same, go ahead and scan this QR code and move to this location and ask this person about that person. It's giving you all the things you may have liked about, well, Chronicles of Crime, if you've played Chronicles of Crime, and it's giving you all that in a kid-friendly package. This game plays quickly, it gives you like 5 adventures if I recall correctly, and they're all fun and enjoyable to go through, and they have some of it's more accessible than Chronicles of Crime. If you found yourself frustrated by Chronicles of Crime ever, because I personally have, as far as just finding yourself in a pattern of just QR code, QR code, QR code, and never feeling like you're making progress, because of the more limited scope of Kids Chronicles to make it more kid-friendly, I found it less frustrating to go through that kind of pattern. And I found the story was engaging, and what's happening is interesting, and you feel like it was one of my favorite kids-based experiences that I played this year, and with 296 ratings, I think it's one, and this is generally true for kid games in general, I don't think they always get the same level of attention as adult-focused games, and so Kids Chronicles Quest for the Moonstones, if you're looking to introduce your kids to that genre of game, and I think if your kids are already in the 7 to 9-year-old range, I think they could probably already play it by themselves once you start them off and show them how it works. A great game, highly recommend it. At number, I think we're up to 6, if I'm not mistaken. At number 6, we have Enchanted Plumes. With 288 ratings on Board Game Geek, Enchanted Plumes is one of those small box games in which you're going to be drafting cards in order to play them into your own little, well, tableaus. You're going to have these pyramid-shaped, upside-down pyramid-shaped, or no, really pyramid-shaped tableaus that are meant to be the reverse plume from your peacock as you layer cards into your tableau, trying to score as many points as possible, with an interesting layering mechanism that requires you have cards of a certain color to continue playing downwards. So I guess you are playing reverse pyramid. Yeah, I think it is reverse pyramid. It is, yeah. But you're basically playing these cards into this tableau, trying to be mindful of which cards you take, what their values are. You have to be mindful of your top row because there's going to be negative points involved as well. And so there's an interesting balance of the cards you need, the cards you're trying to draw, when you play cards into the center, knowing someone might be wanting that specific, purple 7. It's a charming game that teaches quickly, plays quickly. It is one of my favorite small box games, and with only 288 ratings, I don't think it has the exposure it deserves. For the record, I don't think the cover art is that great. I do think the actual card art, for the record, record is much better. I think the card art is simple, elegant, and does the job well, versus the cover art I wish were a little more appealing to get that larger audience, because I think this is a game that if you like small box little games, this is worth adding to your collection. At number 5, we have Merchants of Magick from Rock Manor Games. This is another roll and write game, and this is the second of, I believe, 3 games on this list that I don't actually own, but Merchants of Magick is one that I really did enjoy for quite some time. It's going to be a roll and write game which you are playing as merchants, and you're rotating down different cards through the I guess, market, so to speak. You have access to these different cards you're trying to craft, and the way you build up your own marketplace, the types of things you can craft, whether you're better at this type of thing or that type of enchantment in different ways, you're trying to tick off little boxes and earn the various things you need to become the best merchant of magically produced crafts in the general realms or whatnot. It is a fun game as you build out and figure out how to optimize being good at different things, and what your specialties are in the game is a lot of fun to go through, and it just felt fun to go ahead and craft that Warhammer and get that armor and supply that paladin with all the goods they need. It's a solid game, only 262 ratings on Board Game Geek, Merchants of Magick from Rock Manor Games. At number 4, we have Resident Evil the board game with 249 ratings, and I guess I technically lied. This is one of 4 games that I don't anymore own. Resident Evil 3 the board game is excellent though, and there's only one reason I don't own this one, and the only reason I don't own Resident Evil 3 the board game is because I've played through like 15 times, and I'm now currently waiting on Resident Evil 1 the board game. So this one is like, I guess Suspects I don't own either, because I got rid of Suspects because I finished it all. Some of these games I've gone through and played enough of that I moved on from, but Resident Evil 3 the board game from Steamforged Games is one of my favorite games from their collection. The only thing better than it, as far as I'm concerned, is Resident Evil 1, which came out after Resident Evil 3, because that one has the same basic gameplay, but it has a map that evolves with you, so you don't actually know what's happening as you start playing the game, which gives you an additional sense of mystery that I thoroughly enjoy. The core gameplay is a dungeon crawler game where you have these characters, you're going to have the various gear you have, and then you're going to have the various zombies you have to defeat, and the problem is zombies are hard to kill. You will find yourself blasting bullets into thin air, desperately hoping to kill a zombie, which means you frequently have to decide whether it's worth running or fighting, because killing things is not easy in this game. This game will keep you on your toes the entire time as you try to figure out which doors to open, which doors to close, which barrel to shoot to go boom with. It is a fun, compelling game that is a lot of stress and tension in the game. My biggest pet peeve with it was I felt the character arc didn't really have a lot of development. You found items that were cool, but your characters themselves didn't really upgrade much, and so it does become a little static when you're 15 plays through. My hope is that Resident Evil 1, through the use of a dungeon that kind of evolves with you, not actual dungeon, but that's the mechanic in play, the tiles that will slowly unlock so you don't really know what's happening, you don't know what the map looks like, I think that gives an additional sense of mystery and makes every single mission more compelling to go through. But that's a different conversation. For today, we're talking about Resident Evil 3, where with 249 ratings is definitely, as far as I'm concerned, a hidden gem. Our number 3 is the last one I don't own, really, genuinely. My number 3 is going to be Veilwraith. Veilwraith from Tristan Hall, Hall or Nothing, I believe it's called, Hall or Nothing Productions. Veilwraith from Tristan Hall. Tristan Hall done phenomenal games in general, and Veilwraith is a solo puzzle with 223 ratings on Board Game Geek. This is one where you're going through a solo puzzle of card optimization. You're going to be trying to utilize 3 different abilities and trying to let the abilities slowly grow in power as you time exactly when is the right moment to use them, which powers to slowly augment, which cards to be taken down. It is a challenging puzzle of trying to figure out, you have these constant threats heading your way, and you have to perfectly time what you use, when you use it, and how you upgrade it in order to take down these threats. Combine that with a bit of hand management, which abilities you're able to utilize, and you're left with a puzzle that is just a fun, solo, engaging puzzle to go through. The only reason I don't own this one anymore is, like I said already, I played through a bunch of these scenarios already. The base game, I believe, has 5, if I'm not mistaken. I played through a bunch of them, and then the expansion has like a whole bunch more. So I played through a bunch of these already and was ready to move on from it. But overall, Veilwraith, if you like solo challenging puzzles, Veilwraith very much fits that bill. At number 2, we have another kids games with 134 ratings. We have Rush Out. Rush Out from Sit Down Games, I believe. We have Sit Down Games. Yeah, Sit Down Games. That Rush Out is giving you a real-time one versus many game that is very family-friendly, I think. It might be, I don't know if it's meant to be targeted to gamers. For me, it's the kind of game I enjoy playing with my kids. This is one where I play as the big bad, and they play as all these adventurers, and you're constantly playing cards down in real time to try to hit your goals. So you're constantly playing these cards, trying to quickly gather you need. It's almost like spit it turned into a dungeon crawler adventure game, and thematically it works well. It's not the highest level of strategy you've ever seen in a game, but it's a fun, compelling puzzle that is just fun for your kids to, especially if you have kids, this is fun for your kids to sit there and gang up against you while you try to figure out how to perfectly time just how hard you're going to play as you play as this big bad in this spit-like real-time placing cards down as fast as possible to accomplish your objectives in this dungeon-themed game. Rush Out from Sit-Down Games, a great game worth picking up. And then lastly, at my number 1, with only 70 ratings over here, and easily the best game on the list as far as I'm concerned, we have the Crimson Scales. Now this one does have fewer ratings because of the fact that it's hard to get your hands on this one. The Crimson Scales is a fan-made expansion for Gloomhaven, and it's one that it's not available in typical distribution. It's one that you had to kind of try to get your hands on through a bunch of pre-order options, and I'm sure it'll be available again in different ways. This is a fan-made, not-for-profit expansion in the Gloomhaven universe that gives you, in its base game, gives you like 65 new scenarios and like 11 new classes. I think there was an add-on expansion to get 3 more classes. So you have 14 new classes in Gloomhaven and 65 new scenarios. If you wanted more Gloomhaven content, this absolutely fits the bill. And having played it, I can just tell you, it feels like Gloomhaven. The missions feel like Gloomhaven. The classes feel so ridiculously innovative. You could tell someone this is a Gloomhaven expansion and I don't think they'd know the difference. It's also with the same art by Gloomhaven as well. So same artist, same world building, all of that, but a fan-made expansion in the Gloomhaven universe with only 70 ratings. This is easily the most hidden of hidden gems on the list, and as far as I'm concerned, the best ranked one on the table over here. All of these games are excellent, but an expansion to Gloomhaven, a game I love, is, well, it's going to be the highest ranked one here. And that's basically my list of 15 hidden gems. That's what we have on the table over here. 15 games that, to some degree, some of them are a little bit more well-known. But for the most part, I think these games are either a little underranked or also a little less well-known. And from 2021, they still haven't completely made that wide availability. Although now that I think of it, I'm pretty sure Crimson Scales only delivered in 2022. So I may have been cheating a bit, but I did build the list based on going through Board Game Geek's database of 2021 titles, so I blame them. It's not my fault. But either way, that has been this list. I hope you find something interesting in this list. Let me know if you do find something that caught your attention, that you're interested in picking up or looking into. I'm always interested in terms of what level of impact something like this has. You know, is Dice Miner suddenly a game that you're interested in hearing more about? Or possibly Suspects is a game that captured your attention that you never really heard of before, and Hachette's been on a roll as far as the games they've been doing, and maybe Suspects is worth taking a look at. Or maybe this is the first time you're hearing about Crimson Scales, and despite the fact that I've done like 4 or 5 videos mentioning it at this point, but I'm curious. Let me know in the comments down below which of these caught your attention and why. And until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. Keep your eyes peeled for the other 2021 lists. There are 5 of them. We're going through it. We're playing catch up on a year's worth of backlog, and we'll figure it all out. In any case, and until next time, I hope you have a good one.